Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. So as you can see, I've got some fun looking little toys right here in front of me. And when it comes to photography, there are plenty of things that you absolutely need. They should probably go into one category. And then there's things that you probably don't need but want. This is stuff that I would probably put in the want category, not necessarily need. What I'm showing here is a COLBOR CL220R RGB light. So it's 220 watts of power, but it can go RGB. It also has CCT. So basically it's going to give you from like 2600 to 2700 actually to 6500K. So plus a bunch of other little fun features. This here is COLBOR's new fog machine. Why I say these are wants instead of needs is you don't really need RGB lights. You can always use your strobe and you can put gels on them to give you colors that you need. You don't need a fog machine. You definitely don't need a fog machine. It's just something fun and unique. But what I would say is as technology continues to get better, LEDs continue to get better and more powerful, having the option to actually, rather than having to put on gels, go and find gels and take your time to do that, you literally can, with your phone, with the COLBOR app, you can actually go through and make changes to your RGB color temperature, you know, so you can basically go the gamut of colors with this thing, and it's absolutely incredible. So this video is a review of these products. Now, I'm not, and I've mentioned it before, I'm not a super techie type person. So if you're looking for all the technical specs, there's probably other photographers, there's other YouTubers out there that are going to get more into the specs of these things. But what I want to kind of basically do is tell you what it was like pulling it out of the box and using it for a first time. Was it user-friendly in that extent? Can you actually use it on a daily basis? So that's kind of what this review is for. First, let's knock out the fun little smoke machine. This thing is actually really cool. So it's basically, you know, this big. This is just the nozzle that it's got on it. It actually comes in a pretty cool little case. Very nice little case. It comes with a couple little accessories. This one here basically is a magnetic sit-on, so it will sit right on it. And this here is RGB, so you can actually change some of the RGB colors out of here. Will it really work in photography? Not that much, unless you're definitely shooting wide open, you're not popping any strobe lights, then you might be able to see it. But to me, where that's more beneficial is going to be some type of a special effect for video shoot. And honestly, both of these products are geared more towards video, I think, than photo in studio. Because again, 220 watts is strong. It's basically like an 80-200, but it's just not as strong as what you might want in studio. And the same with this. It's like 40 watts of power. So, you know, it kind of gets the job done, but for video, it definitely would work better. The cool thing is with this, again, it's magnetic. It's got a little built-in fan, so it kind of like can help dissipate some of the fog a little bit more. You can actually control how fast you want the fan to blow, how slow you want it to blow. You can change the color of the RGB. I didn't actually feel that it was super intuitive changing the colors on the RGB. You've got to press the little M button here. Basically, it will give you kind of, it changes the modes. I just didn't feel like it was super user-friendly to do that. And again, with me being more of a photography based, I'm probably not going to use this one as much. I'm going to go more with this one. I've used the Smoke Ninja before. It's a little handheld fog machine just like this. It's actually much smaller. It's probably about this size. And it's pretty cool. I think I actually like this one better. It is the COLBOR Cineflare CF5 Fog Machine. So let me just turn it on real quick. So out of the box, this thing had some charge. I went ahead and charged it up because I used it in a shoot. The first thing that I will tell you is, like, again, out of the box, user-friendly. It's pretty user-friendly. You just kind of go through the guide to figure out how to put the little canister in. The canister is right inside this thing here. So this actually comes separate. So you fill this up with the fog liquid, then you put it in, you'll screw it in. This basically kind of sits right on top. So I've got it turned on. This button here is what you're going to actually use to turn it on. And right away you get fog. Now what you actually might notice is the problem that I had right away. It's a lot of fog. And so that's actually with me kind of turning down the amount of fog that's in it. So is that a bad thing? No. Again, I think for video purposes, it would be very good because it's a good amount of fog. But for me, I actually kind of struggled getting focus because it was so much. So you can turn it down a little bit more, and that probably would be more beneficial. But one thing that you can definitely do is, so for instance, what I was actually shooting was like a low-key portrait. So basically all black with like rim light on the edge of the model. And I was kind of pushing this in front. Well, I couldn't get focus. So what I actually ended up doing is getting a couple of shots just with smoke on the black, still lit, everything right. And so then in Photoshop, I can actually take those shots of fog and lay them over my model and put it to like, I think it's overlay. And basically because it's on black, overlay blending mode is going to actually take all the black out of the fog so that you can still see your model. And I'll show you the image here. Very interesting. And so that's something that you could easily do in photography. Shooting on black like that is create your own fog overlays. So just do it a couple of times, take several different shots, and you've got all kinds of overlays that you can put so that you're not using the same overlay on every photo. Very cool device. Again, you can actually turn on the RGB mode if you want to turn on the RGB mode. I don't think it's super useful for photographers. For videographers, I think it would be very, very useful. You can actually set the time, how long you actually want it to dissipate fog, how short you want it to dissipate fog. You can make it continuous. You can just spout out a little bit. Very cool little device. There's a couple other little things in here. Just a shorter nozzle, a bent nozzle. Here's the fog juice, a remote control, so you can actually fire it up remotely, which I think is really cool. It sure beats me having to stand there and actually trigger it and then run back and shoot it. And then of course your charging cable, no block or anything like that. It does have an instruction book and like a warranty card and stuff like that. Super cool little device. I really enjoy using it. And here's the best part. Fog machines, they kind of range in prices, and I've actually had like a regular fog machines that I've used in my garage. I've been looking for a handheld so that I could, travel with it if I ever wanted to travel with it. Again, that's not a necessity. You don't have to have it. Typically, if you're shooting in broad daylight, you're not even going to see the fog anyway. So it's really something that's very limited in what you're going to use. But the best thing about this thing is it's $129. I think that's a great price for something like this. And it's got a nice grip on it too, so it's not like going to fall out of your hand. It's very well made. I mean, you get this thing and it feels sturdy. The one thing I do notice is these are held on with magnets, and as you can see, it doesn't, I think you kind of put in and maybe do just a slight little twist. Otherwise, it kind of just pops off. So just kind of know that, but fun little toy. And basically, would I buy this? Yeah, I probably would buy this. Like if I was looking for a handheld, I would definitely look at this one. I think it's a great product. And first of all, yes, I should have said this way back. COLBOR sent me these things. So maybe I'm biased because they sent it to me. Take it as you will, but they sent it to me. So I get to test it out, try it out. Like I said, I have bought the Smoke Ninja before, and it's cool. I used it for a photo shoot. If this was an option and I knew what it was capable of, I would have gone with this one over the Smoke Ninja. The Smoke Ninja is a little bit more expensive. I think Smoke Ninja actually just came out with a new version, but I probably wouldn't buy it since I now have the option to use this. All right, so that's that. The COLBOR Cineflare CF5. I'll get it kind of listed $129 is what you can find it for on B&H. I don't know where else you can find it. I'm assuming Amazon just released. So this thing is brand new. Fantastic little fun device. Again, not a need, definitely a want, but something fun to make photography fun for you. All right, so here's the big one. This one is, again, cool. Basically like a mono light type source, 220 watts, fantastic. Does go into RGB. Wow, I just blinded myself. It actually, as you power it on, it retains whatever setting you just had it on. You've got your dials on the back, you know, and there's a couple different menus. The thing that, again, this is, I think these oftentimes, especially the RGB continuous lights, are definitely, if you're a videographer and you do more video than photo, man, for real, I think this would be a fantastic little option. 220 watts, you're getting good power, good color change. I'm gonna just pull up some stats real fast. So it's bicolor and RGB, 2700K to 6500K. Power, it actually says, so it's a 220, but it says the power is, max power is 250. Very good, it's constant, which is awesome. Again, if you're shooting any type of action, this might not necessarily be the light for you, but for portraits, low light portraits, this is gonna be super fun to take. This is something that you would use in studio to create some really cool photos. And I do have some photos. I've shot 3 sessions with this light. Again, what I try to do is I try to pull this light out of the bag and use it kind of like I would typically a brief look at what I need to do to get it rolling and then shoot with it. I used it kind of as a, not necessarily a main light, but I used it in a photo with Ale, and it's kind of like my background with a snoot basically, and I'll show those images here. I've also used it as a side light or backlight to light in an RGB mode with Ale also. And then I did a dance session where I shot low light, trying to get some motion blur. And so I used these as one of the RGB lights on one side, and then I used a different RGB light on the other side. And then finally, I used this as my main light with Lolly. What we were doing for that was low key. And so I had this behind a big umbrella, right behind Lolly, and I had a black cutout over the umbrella, and so I had light spilling out on either side. And I will show all these photos right over top. Very cool option. What I do wish for like that low key was that it was a little bit more powerful. So I'm trying to control that whole scene shooting low key. So I've got all the lights off, and I think I just needed maybe a little bit more juice. It worked out. I was actually able to pull up my images. Would it have been better at 400 watts? Absolutely. But again, I'm buying if you're buying the light, you're buying a light that you know is 220, 250 watts. So you need to know when you get stuff, what are the capabilities? What is it going to actually be able to do for you? You can't buy a 220 watt strobe or continuous light and expect it to blow out the sun or compete with the sun. You can't do that. You need to know the expectations, and 200 watts is great, but it's not going to be the best, strongest light for you. This thing is fantastic as a secondary light. A hair light would be great. Again, being able to shoot low light creatively like this without having to pop in gels is fantastic. It comes with a little reflector that you can put on. No diffuser for the reflector, that's okay. But this kind of just helps you control your light a little bit more, right? This basically covers while it's in transport. This is basically it. Here is your power supply for it. So it's got this nice little braided wire that you can hang it on the light stand. And of course it comes in this big giant case. The menu options with the buttons and the knobs on the back probably are the weak point for me. You know, you're constantly going through, and again, pulling it right out of the box and not fully knowing how to control everything limited those functions for me. It wasn't until I actually took more time to go through, and again, not everybody does it the way I do it. Some people are going to grab this thing and go through the instructions and learn every single detail. And unfortunately, that's not who I am. I want to use this thing as I would typically use it, because I feel like that's going to give you a better idea for, you know, if I'm spending $400 for this, which I think is a little pricey, but $400 for this, you know, how's it going to work right out of the box for me? RGB lights, RGB continuous lights, they're always going to be more spendy than just regular bi-color, because you've got that RGB color change that you can do. So know when you're going RGB, you're going to spend a little bit more money. This thing has a smart fan in it, so it's going to be able to cool. You can actually adjust it to when it cools, how it cools. There's a lot of adjustments in here. You can change the intensity of the light. You can, you know, go through all the sliders, HSI, all the sliders. It's got 13 different modes, again, that I will never use because I'm not shooting video with this thing. Again, like a police light, a fireplace flicker, a faulty bulb flicker, freaking cool stuff. For videographers, if you're shooting it, you know, off camera to create some interesting light patterns and stuff like that. But for me, I'm going to be using this really not even bi-color. I'm using this in an RGB mode because I want the colors. So I think where this really shines, though, as I said, the menu options on the back feel a little clunky to me, but they have an app, and the app is fantastic. Probably the coolest thing that I actually really like with the app is when you open it up and you start to make your selections, which, by the way, it took me a few minutes to get these things paired with the app. So it kind of said it was straightforward, but maybe I'm just dumb. It wasn't as straightforward as I wanted it to be, but I finally got it to pair. But when you go through, you can pick your colors, easily pick your colors. So if I've got this mounted, you know, I don't have to actually go over and use the knobs. I can pull open my phone and just adjust things on the fly with the app. And I think that's where this thing really shines is with that app control. The cool thing too is if you have multiple COLBOR, man, it's like a mouthful, COLBOR lights, you can put them into groups, you can change them all at one time, you can have one group set to one color, other group set to another color. But again, studio type lighting, that's something critical for that. So having group options for that is really neat. That's probably not something that I would ever really do unless I buy more of these, but I don't think that I would buy enough to need multiple groups doing one color and other colors. The coolest thing is they have a color picker option in the app to actually pick the color that you want. So you literally could be like trying to make the light pick different colors in maybe their outfit that they're wearing, the background that they're wearing, skin, whatever it is. You can actually go and you can, in the app, it uses your camera, and so you're just going to go and slide around what it sees, and you're going to pick a color, and then it will change the color on the light. That's freaking incredible. That's awesome. I really did like that. Again, I don't know how much I would actually use that, but I think it's really interesting to be able to pick light like that, as opposed to just kind of going through a slider and picking the light on the app. I think the app is really interesting. More than likely, the app's only going to get better if they push any kind of updates to the app. I think that's really cool. It does have like a little USB port on the bottom, more than likely for firmware upgrades, stuff like that. Again, you've got your knob controllers here. It connects here. This thing actually can connect with a V-mount battery port, which they did not send me. I don't really need it. I'm always going to be powering in my studio. So I guess if you're doing that, you probably could take it on location if you're powering it with a V-mount battery. And my guess is, without looking at the website, they probably have this on the website that you can order the V-mount battery thing so that you could possibly take this on location. If I could take this on location, that actually might be more interesting for me, because then you can create some cool low light effects, you know, and it's fairly small. It's not too big, not too bulky. So again, would I buy this thing? That's the important part. I'm not buying it if I need to spend $400 and I'm looking to get into flash photography or strobe photography, this is not what I'm buying. I'm looking at buying probably an 8200 Pro. If I can find it cheap and on sale, 8600 base model, stuff like that. If you need a studio light, you can find studio lights for, you know, strobe studio lights for $129. So again, what is the need that you need this to fill? I don't think this fills a need. I think this fills a want. This fills something that you can play with and create fun work with. That's where this is. This isn't, as you're growing and you're trying to save money to buy equipment that you truly need to make yourself a better photographer, none of this is that. This is all stuff when you're kind of established, you're feeling better, you're making money, and you have some money that you kind of want to throw away, you want to learn some new things. That's where this stuff is. And I think if you're in that area of your photography career, these are fun buys. Like, I literally would have no problem now knowing what the capabilities are buying these lights. Again, having RGB gives you fun options to create, and photography is all about creating, right? And so yes, you can do that all the same with a strobe, speedlights in studio with gels. But man, gels, they just can be like cumbersome. You know, sometimes you have to mix and match or build on the strobe to get the right color that you want, when you could literally just make a dial or use the app and find the color that you want. You can even use a color picker to find the color that you want with a strobe like this. So this one here is fantastic. I don't have any other RGB light to compare this with as far as a mono light like this. I have tube lights. Those are cool. None of them are as powerful as this. So 250 watts power, that's fantastic. I know this has been a long video. I don't even know if you're still hanging out, but would I buy these? Absolutely I would, with a caveat. Again, you're making money. You've got money that you can actually blow on fun photography gear. This is stuff that you could actually look at doing, and I don't think you're going to fully break the bank. Do I wish this was cheaper? Yeah, I actually wish this was probably like in the $250 to $300 range. But again, when you're looking at RGB lights, they're always going to be a little bit more spendy. So just know if it's RGB, it's going to be more spendy. I think they're fun little tools. The little smoker is really cool, or fog machine is really cool. I think it's actually priced very well. My guess is you're going to probably be able to find those things on sale for 99 bucks. And if you can do those whenever they do go on sale, dude, that's a fun little buy. If you can find these on sale, again, these are fairly new models. This is brand new, so it probably is not going to be on sale anytime soon. But if you can find these a little bit cheaper than 400, man, super cool buy. I mean, it's actually built very well. You know, it's just built very well. I love the long neck on these. I've got a couple mono lights that have a short neck on these, and man, I cannot stand them. They just don't sit right on the stands. This sits right on the stand. It's really nice. You can hear the fan kick on when this thing kicks on a little bit, but for the most part, I really do like it. I think it's built well. I would definitely have no problem recommending it, buying it. Do I know the longevity? I have no idea. I actually had never even heard of COLBOR until they sent it to me. And, you know, I think that's a fun thing about having the YouTube channel. But very cool. Thank you so much, COLBOR, for sending it to me. I absolutely, yes, would recommend this with the caveat. The caveat being, this isn't a necessity. This is a want. This is something that you want to do, to have, to create interesting, different images. This is not something that you need to build your photography career. This is a want, not a need. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed some of the images that I sent. Hope you enjoyed the review. And until next time, keep shooting. Bye.